Hello everybody, welcome back to yet another video, and today it's a little bit different from what I normally do. Now, normally I review a single item, a little bit of a thing, and maybe give a bit of information. Well, this one is a bit of awareness, a bit of information, and also really trying to advocate for something that I honestly really love. I wish more people knew about it, more people would use it, and it was more widespread. So what is this technology I'm talking about? Well, if you can recognize what's sitting on my desk beside me, we're talking about Thunderbolt 3. Now, what is Thunderbolt 3? Why should you care? And why the hell do I love it so much? All this and more after the intro. Thunderbolt 3 is a USB Type-C standard. Well, what I mean by that is it is an extension of the USB Type-C interface, specifically developed by Intel, and it requires a load of specific things. But what can it do? Why should you care about Thunderbolt or whatever that is? Thunderbolt 3 is insane. That's pretty much the short crux of it. See this little thing here? This unassuming little device. This is 10 gigabit Ethernet. This little box here can provide up to 10 gigabit Ethernet, aka about 1.25 gigabytes a second. And do you know what you need for this? You literally just need your Ethernet cable and a single Thunderbolt 3 cable. Nothing else. And the best bit is about this one, not even had to mess around with drivers. It was literally a matter of install, let Windows detect the automatic driver, let it install, and there you go. 10 gigabit Ethernet straight off the bat. How crazy is that? Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I didn't even have to search for a driver online. I didn't have to download it. It was literally install and go. So that's sort of where I want to really base Thunderbolt 3 on. It's the fact that it's a very, very simple way to add really expansive stuff to your system. Now, generally speaking, most people, when they think Thunderbolt 3, they might think of an Apple Mac or a MacBook or a very high-end Intel laptop. But that isn't always the case anymore. It's actually becoming more common for desktops to also start having Thunderbolt 3 support. Specifically, if you look at ASRock and a lot of their AM4 X570 boards, they will also have a Thunderbolt 3 header, which is great, mainly because this is a really cool technology. Now, what it basically does is it uses the USB Type-C interface. As you all probably know what a USB Type-C cable looks like by now. But Thunderbolt 3 instead does a lot more. Whereas USB Type-C, I think it's restricted to maybe 20 gigabit on a 2x2 cable, which is, it's pretty fast, but it's not the best. And it's got a couple of issues. It's only able to do so much power. Well, Thunderbolt 3, you can see here there's a load of very different devices that seem to do all their own things. Well, let's start off with this. This is what most people need if they are using a desktop. They all need some sort of adapter card, because Thunderbolt 3, for the most part, generally speaking, isn't built straight into the motherboard because it's kind of expensive. But thankfully, these aren't overly expensive. I think this cost me like 75 quid or something along that line. Like, granted, it's not cheap, but it is when you start looking at it more in depth. Because what this provides is 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. Now, Thunderbolt 3, like I said, it uses USB Type-C, but you can basically plug anything into USB Type-C these days. So, Thunderbolt 3, you can plug in a USB Type-C device, no problem, it will recognize it, it will run off that because it is backwards compatible. But it also then becomes compatible with other Thunderbolt 3 devices. Now, Thunderbolt 3 has 40 gigabits of bandwidth. That's a lot. To put it in perspective, I think USB 3.0 Type A or USB 3.2 Gen, whatever the stupid naming system is for the basic USB 3, that's only, I think, somewhere between 1 and 5 gigabits, generally speaking. This is quite literally 8 times that. That is a huge, huge increase. On top of that, Thunderbolt 3, especially these higher end cards, can provide up to 100 watts charging on a single cable. So you've got 40 gigabits of bandwidth, you've got 100 watts of charging, and here's the extra kicker, it can also carry a 2 4K signals, or if you really want to push it, it can carry a 5K signal at 60 Hz. That's insanity. That is a hecking lot of information to take from point A to point B, and because of all this, it has another cool little feature. Now, obviously, my main rig, it's got one huge issue. I have only a single PCIe card available because, you know, I have a lot of stuff in there. I use 2 GPUs, I use an oversized cooler. But what this does allow me to do is add a load of devices I wouldn't normally be able to add because Thunderbolt 3, it's not just plug in one device and you're done, it's expandable. Which means you can, say you've got a device like this with 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. Well, on each port, you can daisy chain up to 6 devices, which means, see all these here? I could go ahead and plug a TS3 Plus, that is a little dock that, it is a dock that you're supposed to use with laptops. I like to use it on here because it gives me a ton of, USB ports, which I kind of need because I'm short of them. So I can plug in my dock. Well, I've suddenly got an extra 9 USB ports along with a load of other ports, including DisplayPort and all that lot. That's great stuff. I've got suddenly a lot more connectivity, but it's not quite enough. Maybe I need a NAS or something. Maybe I need a really fast storage array that I need to transfer data as quickly as possible through. Oh, no problem. Just grab a Thunderbolt 3 NAS, plug it in into the back of that, and the best bit is it'll go ahead and do straight from point A to point B. You only need a single cable to run from that to that, and a single cable to run from that to your NAS, because it's daisy chainable. But it's still not quite got enough stuff. You need one of these, a Thunderbolt 3 to gigabit, not 10 gigabit Ethernet, for that extra fast network speed. Well, not a problem. Just go ahead and plug this into the end of the NAS, and then go ahead and plug in, that into your switch. And what you've suddenly also got 10 gigabit Ethernet. You've got, your TS3 Plus, so you've now got 15 extra ports. You've now also got a huge network attached storage array. Here's the best bit, that's only using up half the potential devices on a single port. So remember, this card has got 2 of them. It starts to add up really quickly just how expandable you can actually make one of these interfaces, despite the fact that you're using only a single 4x PCIe slot. That's incredible. Tell me I'm not going crazy here. The amount of stuff that you can attach to a single machine and still be happy with it. The reason I got the ITX TB3 ASRock motherboard for that is because it has a Thunderbolt 3 port. It's only got one of them, so it's limited to 6 devices, but that's still a ton of connectivity. That still means I can add one of them, I can add a NAS, I can add a few NASs, I could add whatever possible device I could possibly conjure up that I might need to add to it, and hey, I can do that no problem. It means that in an ITX chassis I can add 10 gigabit Ethernet. I can add a TS3 Plus and then suddenly have as many ports as, in fact more ports than most desktops. On top of that, the Caldigit TS3 Plus, it also does really decent power delivery. Which means not only do I suddenly have, a very, very menacing looking, ITX system with enough connectivity to really put anything to shame, it can take use of it, because, that provides decent power on all the ports. Granted, the USB Type-C ones, they are, if I remember rightly, data only, but the Type A's, they all provide up to 7.5 watts charging, and here's the other thing, you can charge your laptop with this as well. So not only could you plug that in, plug this in, plug everything else in, you can still charge your laptop just to add that little extra, just little niggly bit that just says, this stuff's good. And there's a reason why I want more people to adopt this. Granted, it's a very high-end thing. Not many people are going to adopt this because these are expensive. These are basically $200 a pop. That's closer to $300 a pop. All this stuff, it's expensive as hell. And I know why it's expensive. It is very much, this is high-end stuff that most people are never going to use because this is high-end stuff. But I really hope people do adopt it. Thunderbolt 3, granted, some people might say, you're an Intel shield because you're chilling. I hate Intel at the moment, I really do. But the one technology that I wish more people would adopt is Thunderbolt 3 because it's fast. It's insane. The more people that adopt it, the more devices that we get, and then we can get more use out of this just ridiculous little interface. I mean, I can't even get over it. there are a couple of issues, mainly in the department of cables, because Thunderbolt 3 cables, generally speaking, only go up to 2 meters active unless you want to start paying a hefty price for fiber optics. Like, I have a 2-meter cable that is going from my machine over there to my Caldigit dock over there, which is then plugged into all my USB devices here, and still leaving me with a few extra ports for when I add more stuff in the future. But that 2-meter cable cost me nearly $90. And I'm talking US bucks here when I say bucks. When I say bucks, I do mean US dollars. You know, $90 for a cable, it's not cheap. It's really not cheap. But on the other hand, the amount of stuff that one cable can do, like, that can carry the full 100 watts, that can carry a 5K signal, that can carry the full 40 gigabit. You know, it's one of those cases where this is an expensive thing to get into, and it's not for everybody. It really isn't for everybody, but for those of you that do adopt it, you probably understand where I'm coming from. Like, from the point of being a content creator, having the ability to just add so much more to my workflow because I can. Not because I'm limited, not because I just have to choose between, ooh, do I want the capture card, or do I want graphics card, or what should I do? No, you can have everything. This is quite... Thunderbolt 3, for me at least, as a content creator, is very much... You can have your cake, but you can eat it too. And that's the best bit. It's not the factor of, hey, you there? Yeah, you want all this cool stuff. Tough, you can only pick one or the other. This one is very much, oh, you want 10 gigabit Ethernet? No problem. Oh, you got an extra display over there? Well, you got your dock there. Do you want us to plug it in for you? No problem. Oh, you've not got enough storage. You want to add a NAS whilst you're at it? No problem. It's just the fact that it adds so much connectivity, so much expandability. It's absolutely mind-boggling. And granted, so a lot of you are watching this will be like, why would you want it? Why would I need it? You know, I just play games, and for most of you, that's fine. You don't need it. But if you did adopt it, please let me know, because I love this. And granted, this is a bit of a talking head or a rant or me going on about Thunderbolt 3 for no reason, but it's insanely cool. And just one of the things I actually want to show off is, by the way, these adapters, by the way, seriously, I recommend them so much. Like, I've been shopping around for 10 gigabit Ethernet, and I was going to go for the Sonic Solos, is it? Or whatever it is, the other one that's really popular that sort of looks like a Caldigit. I think it might be a Caldigit one, actually. These Sabrent ones, by the way, seriously, these are so good. I will in a minute actually go ahead and do a bit of a demo for you guys, showing them off, because seriously, 10 gigabit Ethernet is so ridiculous. Like, so ridiculous. So, you know, I'll throw in a clip here. Which, of course, I'll do a voiceover then, because, you know, I got stuff to do now. But, yeah, 10 gigabit, it's insane. Yeah. The fact that, on top of that, this is only using up a quarter of your bandwidth. Like, what? This is only using a quarter? You have all this connectivity, and this only uses a single quarter of it. This means that you can literally throw this on the end of whatever Thunderbolt chain you're using and still honestly have probably more than enough bandwidth for whatever you're doing. You know, it's... what? It's what I love about it. It's just such a broad, insanely broad connection, and I can see why Apple do add it in their products. You know, as creators, it's insanely good. Thunderbolt 3 and Thunderbolt 3 displays, which, let's not even get into them, you know, they exist as well. You can get full displays that run on Thunderbolt 3, and they are insanely nice. Granted, they're insanely expensive, but they're insanely nice. And, you know, that's the thing that you could also do. You could actually run your displays off it. I know Linus Sebastian, yes, Linus Sebastian from LTT, what he does at home, as far as I'm aware, is he uses something along the lines of this inside an X570 Aqua. Actually, no, he doesn't use this. The Aqua comes with it on it. As far as I'm aware, he uses a fiber optic Thunderbolt cable to run it from his system in the next room into there. And just that one cable carries his display. It carries all the data for his USB stuff. And on top of that, it's still got enough throughput that he can then go ahead and plug in capture cards into his little USB dock at his desk and still have enough bandwidth to do even more. It's such an insane little interface. It just gives you so much more than you'd normally have. And that's really where it comes down to. It's really everything you want and then some more, just because you can. Now, in the future, I will do a little bit more detail on Thunderbolt 3, maybe go ahead and go on about a few devices that I might recommend, but it's amazing. Seriously, guys, you need to see this stuff. It's insane. And also, if you're in the market for 10 gig to Ethernet, these are cheap and these are shockingly good. Like, no joke, as I was saying, this is literally plug in, approve, and give it 2 minutes to find the driver. Like, not even having to go and install the driver for a change. It's just, I can't get over it. Also, these are a Quantia. If you were worrying about the quality, these are actually a Quantia chips that are in them, so very good as well. But yeah, that is where I'm going to go ahead and leave it for this video. I'll throw in that extra clip so you can just see what I mean by how easy these are to use. And that is where I shall go ahead and leave it. So, links will be in the description for absolutely everything that was featured today, because seriously guys, you should try this stuff. I'll also leave a link to the cable in case you want to go ahead and get it, because I'd recommend getting the long cable for those just in case. But yeah, like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Any thoughts or questions, leave a form of comment down below. Don't forget to maybe check out some of the devices if you really do want to try Thunderbolt 3 out for yourself. Make sure you check your compatibility first though. Yeah, check out my Discord, Patreon, Facebook and Twitch page, all of which you can find in the description and down below. As always, it's been the 117th Con. Signing off, stay safe folks, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Oh yeah, and don't forget to subscribe. How can I forget that? Whatever. Anyway, see you folks next time, and take care. Until then, ta-ra.